by the end of this video, you should be able to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, Mary Had a Little Lamb, all those simple tunes from sheet music, even if you've never read music before. So stick around all the way to the end so you do not miss any piece of it. Welcome back to Heartstrings Violin Academy. I'm Samuel. I'm very excited to have you here again. I bring you the best violin lessons, violin tutorials. So if you're a beginner or an intermediate on the instrument, you'd want to click that subscribe button right there and stay connected to this channel so you do not miss any bit of it. Right, this video is a part 2 to that first part of reading music that we talked about. So if you've not seen that first video, I would recommend you check out that first one right there. I'm gonna link it somewhere or in the description. But before we start, let me give you a good summary of what we did in that video. Right, so we talked about the very basics. That's your staff right there, 5 lines and 4 spaces where we're going to be writing our music, symbol, signs and characters to make music. We talked about the treble clef drawn on the second line, which makes the second line G, and from that alphabet G we're able to get all of the alphabet, knowing that that's A, B, this F, E, and so on. All of this we did in that video. So that A right there is the same thing as your A string. That E right there is the same thing as your E string. That D right there is the same thing as your D string. We explain all of this in detail in that video. And if we keep going down, these are called ledger lines. That's going to be G, which is your string G. So these are the 4 open strings you have on the violin and how they look on music. Right, we also talked about your first finger on the violin, your second finger, and your third finger on the violin. So what I want us to do today first is what we call a D major scale. So a D major scale, think about it this way. When we say a major scale, think of it as starting from that alphabet and finishing at that same alphabet on a higher octave or on a higher sound. If you think about it that way, it makes everything easy. So if we go from D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, all the way to D, that becomes a D major scale. I'm going to play it for you so you understand it. And then I'll show you how we do that on the board, and we're going to start reading things like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and all of that just now. So D major scale, D first, and then E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D. Because we're back to D, that's a D major scale. You can have other types of scale, but for now, starting off, the main thing you're going to deal with is going to be a major scale. All right, let's demonstrate that on the board and show you where we have those notes I just played on the staff to make things even easier. Right, have a quick look at the board right now. So with that right there, from what we know so far, that's your open D string, right? And that's a half note. How many counts is a half note? 2 counts. That's also called a minim. So that means we count 1, 2, right? So that's D right there, which is open D string. So we're gonna go 1, 2, and after that, the line right after that is your E, which is first finger on the D string. You see that D string? First finger on the D string, that's your E right there, which is the next note. So when we see that, that means we hold down the first finger on the D string and play for 2 counts, because that's a half note right there. So 1, 2, and then the E, 1, 2, and next is your F sharp, second finger, 1, 2, next is your G, then A, 2. So after that G, which is the third finger, we cross over to the A string. After A, that's your first finger on the A. You could see the stem of the notes coming down now as you go higher up. Once you get to the middle line, the stem of the notes can change. Right, let's go from that A again. So, and then B, and then C sharp, and then third finger D. Take note, because the C sharp, the second finger, and the third finger are very close. The F sharp and the G on the D string are very close as well. Right, so take note of that. Let's do it together now, continuously. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. And you could write this from right there going back down, which is going to be, this is called the ascending scale because we're going up. So the first assignment I'm going to give you, extend the staff and write the D major scale in a descending scale backwards. Write it that way and then play it. So it's going to sound like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, after half note, you could shade the head of the note to make a quarter note, and then the same thing is gonna sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then backwards, because it's now one count note, which is also called quarter note. This is the start of everything you're going to eventually play smoothly. So before you start playing anything, I want you to do the D major scale. 4 counts first, 2 counts first, and then 1 count, and then you can start any other thing you want to practice or play for that particular day. All right, let's look at Twinkle Twinkle Little Star using what we just learned here. Good. So if we have a look at the board now, using what we already know, we know those are quarter notes, just 1 count each, and those are on the D string. So your first 2 notes are going to go, where's your D string? That right there. We're gonna go 1, 2, and you're done with those 2 notes. We read from that, from left to right. What's next? That's your space A right there. It's where the head of the note is that matters, so that's what matters right there, where you have the head of the note. So you have 2 D's and 2 A's there, so, and then the A's. And what's next after that? B, your first finger on the A string right there, that line right there. And then A for 2 counts. Let's do just that again, and you're gonna count, always count aloud. It helps you develop a good sense of rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Even if you're not able to do it that smoothly on the first time, right? Take your time, right? I've been playing for some time now, so it's gonna sound like that. Me just trying it first or the second time. But in some cases, if you're a complete beginner, remember these things do take a little bit of time, consistency, and patience, right? And then right after that A, you have your 3rd finger on the D string. From what we've learned so far, that 3rd finger on the D string is right there, and that's your G. After that, you have your 2nd finger, and then the 1st finger is on the D's. So let's go from right there, which is, and then the F sharps. And after that, you have your A's again. I'm just gonna play to the end now. Same thing again. And in music, that DS right there is written out as dial signal, which means go back to where you see the sign. The sign is usually like a $sign, like that. Let's put it right there. Right, so that means go back to that sign, right? So when we get here, we're gonna go back to that sign, and we're gonna end where we see fine, right? Which means that's the end of that piece. So when we go ta 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 ta, it's gonna go back to that first part. Ta 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 ta. This is actually where the fine should be. Ta ta ta. So we're gonna put the fine right there, which represents the end of that section. Right, so from what we just did so far, you're gonna go from beginning all the way to the end, and you're gonna go back to the DS sign, and then you're gonna continue until you see fine, and that's where you're gonna end. I'm gonna play start to finish for you just like that, so you could use it as a play along once you've practiced and you've mastered this. So you have sign. And that's where we stopped right there. Good. I want you to be very, very patient with it. Before you do this, do your D major scale. Keep in mind, I could have just put the alphabet for Twinkle Twinkle Little Star right here for you to just play them, which is a very beginner way of doing this. But as we go forward, you're going to eventually need to learn how to read music, which is why we started this series in the first place. So in the next episode of this series, we're going to do talk a little bit more about those numbers you see at the beginning of the music called time signature. We're gonna do another piece like Mary Had a Little Lamb, Happy Birthday song, and so on. So go do the work, and I will see you in the next video. Do not forget to click that subscribe button, because these videos are going to be coming for you. These are just chapters, these are just topics from the Heartstrings Violin Academy course that we have compiled as well. So if you're looking for a step-by-step guide that's going to give you exercises, graded exercises, one to the next, that's going to improve your playing following those exercises, yes, the course is going to be available in the description right there, and I want you to get your hands on that. Because even as good as this is, right, this is just one exercise, right? What's the next, which is a little bit too much to put on here, right? So click that subscribe button right there, and if you're interested, check that description, and I'll see you in the next video.